On Overdrive today, we find out which scooter is the best buy in the market today, and we go through the new offerings Volkswagen India has for driving enthusiasts. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Soini Dutt. The latest 110cc scooter, Hero Xoom, takes on the likes of the established scooters in the segment, the updated Honda Activa and the TVS Jupiter. Which one should you put your money on? Chris has the answers.
When it comes to urban city runabouts, nothing beats having the convenience of a scooter at your fingertips and at your disposal. And although electric scooters are all the rage and a current hot topic in today's world, well, IC scooters, in particular 110cc scooters, still have a special place in our market and in our hearts because, yes, a lot of people still rely on them to go about their daily business. And Hero MotoCorp has just last month introduced this new 110cc scooter. This is the Xoom. This is the top-end variant that we're going to be testing out today. And how does it fare against the established competition? Well, scooters that have been around for more than a couple of years. If you go to see, the one to my left, immediate left, is the TVS Jupiter. This is the Smart X Connect, and we also have the Honda 8 Smart Activa 110cc. So how does this new scooter fare in competition against some very established competition out here on the market? Well, stick around to find out.
In terms of its design, the Hero Xoom is undoubtedly the most radical 110cc scooter in India today. There are cuts, creases and contours all over this thing. It's hard to miss the H-shaped DRL up front with its LED headlamp. The diamond cut alloy wheels, that funky tail lamp mimicking the design from the front, all very sleek and modern. It's definitely going to appeal to your youthful side. In contrast, you tend to miss the Honda and the TVS if they went past you out on the road and if you weren't paying close attention, because they pretty much exude the basic shape and design of scooters that we've grown accustomed to over the course of time, save for some catchy color schemes. Now, TVS has tried to keep things fresh with the Jupiter Smart Connect with dual-tone paint jobs, some shiny bits and even a tiny backrest for the pillion rider. Honda has done pretty much more or less the same and has even thrown on some new alloy wheels and keyless ignition tech to its fan favourite of for almost 20 years, the Activa. Storage space is a key factor for any scooter. It's pretty much one of the reasons you'd want one in the first place. And all three of the scooters out here have enough storage space to put away a proper half-face helmet under the respective seats. But the Activa is the only one of the three that doesn't have a storage area behind the front apron. Now, this is no deal killer, but it's definitely a feature that Honda could have thrown on there for good measure. The Activa 8 Smart is also the only one of the three that features a smaller 10-inch rear wheel in comparison to the 12 inches at the back of the other two. And it also doesn't get a disc brake up front, not even as an optional extra. That's because Honda only offers front disc brake variants on its 125cc scooters and above, out here in India at least. Now, the biggest downside to the Hero's design is that the cubby holes on the apron, well, they eat away at legroom and parcel storage space. Also, I'm not too convinced by that oddly located USB charging socket either. Convenience is the name of the game with any scooter, and its features that it comprises are going to make or break them. Even though the three scooters out here are the latest units to hit the Indian streets, the display units of all three ICE scooters are still nowhere close to the fancy touchscreen and TFT color displays that we've seen on some of their electric equivalents. But that doesn't mean they lack other modern features. The Honda still gets the old school analog display that reads out speed, odometer and level of fuel. And although I quite like it because it's like the machine's way of mechanically conveying that data to you, not all will fancy the simplicity of this sort of display in the modern era. The Xoom and Jupiter both get fully digital instrumentation screens with Bluetooth connectivity and turn-by-turn navigation features. The Xoom also gets a handy real-time mileage indicator, which is always a pleasure to see on the go, while the Jupiter goes one step above the ordinary with its voice command system that lets you access certain functions like navigation and call logs. Although, how important the features that last bit on a scooter of this sort is debatable.
Now, the Honda Activa 110 has been around for more than 20 years, but this model has been upgraded. This is the top-end Honda Activa 110cc H Smart. So basically, it has been on the receiving end of some new tech in the form of keyless ignition. And yes, this new key where you don't really require the key, you don't have to slot it into an ignition anymore. You just have to press a button to unlock it, or you can find your bike in a parking lot by pressing another button. And of course, the USPs of this bike have to be, well, first and foremost, the 12-inch wheel up front, and it's an alloy wheel to begin with, because previously all the older Activas, well, they only had steel wheels. And this model in particular, from these three scooters, is the only scooter to have a 12-inch front and a 10-inch rear wheel.
The Xoom's USP has to be its cornering lights, which light up the road when you tilt the scooter into a corner. Yes, it's the first scooter of this displacement category to get this feature, but honestly, it isn't very helpful in poorly lit scenarios, because first of all, you're not going to be carrying that much momentum on the scooter into a corner to really see or need to see all that much. And secondly, well, the headlight works pretty well, and you don't really need that part of the road illuminated as it does. What's more useful though is the company's i3S tech that turns the scooter off when you come to a halt for more than a couple of seconds. Don't fancy that too much? Well, the system can be turned off completely by flipping a switch on the handlebar. The Jupiter likewise gets the same IntelliGo integrated start-stop tech, while the Honda misses out on this tech completely.
Now, moving on to the TVS Jupiter Smart Connect. Well, as its name suggests, this scooter incorporates, well, TVS's Smart Connect display and voice activation feature. So this scooter, well, unlike the others, you have the option of activating your turn-by-turn navigation, and you can also use the voice activation where you can command the scooter to search for directions and display it up on your screen via the app, via connecting it to your phone. Also, this scooter comes with pillion backrest as part of the top-end variant package, the Smart Connect package, in addition to the external fuel filler lid, which can be accessed like the under-seat storage via the key through the ignition slot.
The TVS app also gives you access to a lot more data and information on your scooter compared to the others, and is a whole lot easier to get used to as well.
Of course, features and design is a very integral part of that buying decision, but all of that could change in a jiffy if the scooter is not comfortable to ride in the city and sometimes on the highways, right? More on that after this very short break. Welcome back. You're with us on Overdrive. Now, comfort along with a certain amount of performance and of course an affordable price tag are very important factors when you want to make that buying decision. So of course, in the 110cc scooter comparison, we're taking a look at all these parameters to see which scooter satisfies the customer the best.
The Hero Xoom feels light and is very easy to manage in the city, and having the best turning radius of the lot out here felt very handy while trying to wriggle past traffic at a standstill. The Honda and the TVS require a little more of a calculated effort with that regard. The Hero's 110.9cc single-cylinder mill feels very lively and responsive. It performed commendably well up steep inclines in the neighborhood. But one thing it lacked is that level of refinement compared to the butter-smooth 109.5cc Honda engine and TVS's 109.7cc air-cooled motor. Well, that difference was very evident from the moment I set off. The Honda and the Hero have identical power to weight figures and feel reasonably quick, getting from 0 to 60 in just under 10 seconds. And the Jupiter, well, it doesn't feel far off the mark either. Accelerating from 40 to 60 km per hour to execute an overtake feels a lot cleaner with the TVS, and that's mainly down to the smoothness of its way of functioning. The Honda and the TVS appear to breathe a lot cleaner than the Xoom, which often sounds a little stressed, overly stressed at that. And there are times when this audibly sounds like you're really going for it when you really aren't. And it's that level of refinement that you learn to appreciate over time while riding the Activa and the Jupiter. In terms of suspension, all three scooters out here get a telescopic fork up front and a single spring-loaded hydraulic damper unit at the rear. The seating arrangement on all three of them feels very comfortable and accommodating as well, even with two astride. But in all honesty, a little more than an hour and a half, say, of saddle time at a stretch on any of these three is just about doable. The Xoom and the Jupiter feel a lot more nimble compared to the Activa, which is a bit of a surprise once you consider the fact that the Honda has the smallest wheelbase of the three, and also it's a good 4 kg lighter than the other two, which both weigh 109 kgs curb. The Honda suspension feel best set up for casual city speed riding of about 40 to 50 kmph, And the faster you go, well, the more you'll miss having a 12-inch wheel at the back, because you do tend to feel a lot more of the smaller, sharper bumps on the road on the Activa. The Xoom suspension, on the other hand, is set up stiffer, and it does feel a lot more engaging to ride, with a good amount of feedback from the extremely light front end. It all goes well in sync with Hero's overall sporty design theme, but it's not the most comfortable scooter from these three at low speed. It's stiff enough for you to find it very unforgiving when things get lumpy out of the road. The Jupiter, on the other hand, is by far the best in terms of ride quality. Now, Mumbai's roads are currently abundant with surprises, and the amount of road work going on, well, it's horrendous. From surprise gravel sections to oversized speed breakers and extremely dusty and broken patches of road, well, the TVS just feels so composed and balanced and allowed me to get through it all with the least amount of effort, and that's something I really appreciated. It tended to feel a lot more confident on the brakes with the Jupiter as well. It just feels a lot more relaxed and easy to ride, and that little backrest for the pillion, well, who would have thought? It is actually quite a good thing to have.
Now, to sum things up with a comparison test out here today, let's begin with the Honda Activa 8 Smart. Well, it still seems to be lacking a certain amount of features that I'd like to have seen on a scooter of this sort, given its price. Given that scooters elsewhere in the market come with those features as standard. Yes, it is frugal. Of course, it has the bulletproof engine and reliability working on its side. But unfortunately, on this test, well, it seems to miss out a bit. Moving on to the Hero Xoom. Well, this scooter will set you back by 97,000 rupees on road Mumbai. And yes, in terms of design aesthetics, well, it is a real standout. It is a real winner there. No question about that. And in terms of features, it does pack a good amount of features, a good amount of storage space, and it is the most agile of the three scooters out here today. But yes, if you're of an elderly generation, you're not going to feel very comfortable riding this one, which gets us over to our winner in this comparison test, which is the Jupiter Smart Connect, the top end variant. Now, this is the most expensive scooter. It will cost you around 1,06,000 rupees on road Mumbai currently. And yes, given the amount of features that it holds, it's really frugal. It has the best mileage. It is the most comfortable scooter to ride, the most easiest to maneuver in traffic as well. Well, it just is a well-rounded off package, and hence it is the winner of our test.
Well, I hope this story has addressed all of the queries that you might have regarding the 110cc scooter space. If you have any more queries, you might also want to subscribe to the Overdrive digital magazine. It is out now. We'll come back after a very short break to tell you all about the manual variant of the Volkswagen Virtus as well as the Volkswagen Taigun. Stay with us, you're watching Overdrive. Welcome back, here with us on Overdrive. Just earlier this week, Volkswagen India announced that the very popular sedan Virtus would come with a manual transmission, and so would the SUV, the Taigun. Now, this of course is a dream come true for many of the driving enthusiasts. So we sent Bert to Kochi to get us all the details.
Volkswagen is very well known for introducing several new variants of existing products in the market. They've done this over several years, and they will beef up the entire portfolio with several variants, performance or cosmetic for that matter. And today is no different. I'm here in Kochi attending Volkswagen's annual brand conference, where they've just revealed, well, 6 rather variants and iterations that come up in the Taigun and the Virtus product lines. Now, keep in mind also there's added heat to their sales numbers coming in from Tata Motors, from Hyundai, who also launched a lot of new products. Keep in mind Hyundai has also come up with the Verna, so that sedan is definitely making waves and causing a bit of, well, I'd say, concerns for Volkswagen, which was a dominant player in the sedan segment. And now, of course, what we're seeing behind me is the Virtus with several trim levels, as well as the Taigun with several other additions to it as well. Now, principally amongst this, what is coming in is the manual transmission. That's going to make a big play because there is a huge amount of demand from consumers who want the manual transmission, especially with the GT line. Now, let me tell you how this works out. Volkswagen India is, of course, creating a sub-brand called the GT Edge, which falls under the GT line. So all of the GT variants will now come under that GT Edge. Principally, that means the 1.5 engine will come now with manual transmissions at the top end and at the bottom end. In addition, they've also got 2 conceptual vehicles. There's the Taigun Trail, and of course we've got the sport variant. Now, those are expected sometime after June. But in the meantime, you've got some colorways, you've got the manual transmission coming up in GT, you've got the black edition, you've got this matte edition as well, and of course, like I said, the manual transmission options as well. So all of this is being brought in to beef up Volkswagen's portfolio in India, simply because they see the potential to grow further. Currently, the Taigun is doing about 2,500 numbers in the market, with the Virtus lagging a little behind at 2,000. And Volkswagen intends to bring those numbers up, say about 2,250 to 2,300 units every month from the Virtus brand, and taking the Taigun up to almost about 3,000 units per month. So it's a steep ambition, but one that definitely can of course be achieved for Volkswagen. And this is what their entire portfolio intends to do. Let me take you through what each of these cars has to offer.
Volkswagen India will be kicking off a sub-brand called the GT Edge, which will now club all of the GT and other limited edition models under the sub-brand. This is an extension of the GT badged cars, whose intent is to deliver higher performance and energetic visuals to enthusiastic customers. There has been significant demand for a manual transmission variant clubbed with the 1.5-litre turbo Virtus. Volkswagen India has finally made this possible with a 6-speed manual transmission in the top spec performance line trim, dubbed as the GT Plus manual. GT logos and blacked out alloys further enhance the appeal for enthusiasts demanding for this particular spec. The Taigun 2 gets an upgrade with a 1.5-litre TSI DSG in GT trim, while also adding the manual transmission option through the new GT Plus trim. Prior to this, the Taigun did have a manual transmission option, but only in a lower end trim. The Taigun range now gets more volume with the addition of the manual transmission at the top end. Volkswagen is also well known for adding several cosmetic trim options to their range of cars over a period of time, and both the Taigun and Virtus get the same treatment. There is a GT DSG Sport, which is purely cosmetic with graphic decals and stickers adorning the body panels. This will be priced as an entry-level GT model, making the GT cars more accessible to a wider audience. A Taigun Trail concept has also been revealed, which in addition to graphic decals on the bodywork also comes with a roof rail and blacked out alloy wheels. Expect these cars to go on sale after June 2023. And finally, Volkswagen has added a few new color options to the Taigun and Virtus range. The Taigun GT Plus trim gets a matte grey shade specifically, with the red accents subtly spread across the door panels, brake calipers and the front bumpers, giving it an impressive stance. Volkswagen has also added a deep pearl black shade to both the Taigun and Virtus range. And finally, there is a new lava blue paint scheme available for all Virtus models. Volkswagen is not yet done, and expect several more additions in the near future.
Current, the range, both with the Taigun and the Virtus for that matter, do you think this is a complete, portfolio for you right now, or is there still space, to occupy a few more price points?
Of course, there is always space. A lot of combinations, a lot of variations are possible. You could think of bringing an automatic transmission at lower price points. You could even think of bringing a DSG at lower price points in the Virtus. So a lot of possibilities available with the kind of combinations that we have, and we have to continuously work on it and look at what the market potential is, what our customers are looking for in different parts of the country, and of course the market will also evolve as you go ahead. So definitely you have to keep on taking this feedback, keep on analyzing the market and start planning.
And one last question, Ashish, with these new additions, with all of these trims coming in, how is this going to affect, waiting periods, especially for consumers? What they would like to know is, whether this increases it or they still streamline enough to make sure deliveries come on time.
Yeah, I think overall, if you look at our delivery timelines, most of our variants have an availability timeline of 2 to 3 weeks, except for a few, variants like the GT Plus DSG on the Virtus, which also has improved to 4 to 6 to 6 to 8 weeks now, and it will become even better. So on the whole, our current portfolio is available not more than a waiting period of 2 or 3 weeks. So that's pretty comfortable. Our supply situation is definitely better than last year. But yes, for the exclusive GT Edge collection, this will be specific colors and variants which will be made, combinations which will be made built to order. So we will communicate the waiting time to the customers from order to delivery.
With that, it's a wrap on this week's edition of Overdrive. But Remember, you can stay in touch with the team through Facebook, Twitter as well as YouTube. And you can follow our latest updates on Instagram. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and many thanks for watching.